What's going on, Colts Nation? Appreciate you joining me for another video today. I want to talk more about the draft. With the draft less than a month away, want to keep getting into things. And something that I had seen on Twitter, there were a couple different posts, and the Colts were looking at yet another wide receiver. Okay, now we've talked plenty about different defensive positions that could be drafted at 15. And the guy that we're going to talk about, not going to be the 15th overall pick in the draft. This is a guy that is looking like a day two pick, but could be very useful, especially in Shane Steichen's offense. And what I saw was that we had offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter, offensive quality control and wide receiver assistant Brian Bratton, and scout Joey Elliott all out to watch Western Kentucky's pro day and watch Malachi Corley. And of course, if you've watched this channel for a little bit of time, you know that I am not somebody that watches college football, right? So why would I know some guy from Western Kentucky? That's a great question. As I looked into Malachi Corley, I like what I see. I like what I see. You know, everybody has the same kind of analysis on him where he's not the most sharp route runner. He's not the most polished in that area, but what he is tough. Tough is the word that you'll hear a lot of people talk about, but he's grueling on the field, right? And what I want to compare him to is Deebo Samuel with the kind of build that he has, right? This is a guy he is 5'11", just a hair over 5'11", and is 207 pounds. Okay, and we talked about Xavier Worthy yesterday. It's basically the same height as Xavier Worthy, but he's got an extra 20 pounds on him than Xavier Worthy. And when you look at pictures of him, you can see it, especially in his legs. Corley has really good lower body strength, and that helps him be able to run people over. When you turn on his tape, he's breaking through arm tackles. He's running people over. Okay, and when he gets in front of somebody and he has space, he's breaking away. Okay, so this is a guy that I really like. In his pro day, he didn't do any work at the combine, so he doesn't have an RAS score, but he does, have some stuff coming out because of the pro day where his 40-yard dash was between 4.45 and 4.47, and he had 27 reps on the bench. So Corley sounds like he did really good at his pro day. This is a guy that when you look at just what he does on the field, you can't help but start to think as a Colts fan, man, what does that look like in Shane Steichen's offense, right? Because Steichen's offense is, similar, not exactly like, but very similar in a lot of different ways to the Shanahan offense. And when you look at Corley and look at the things he can do well, like coming into the league, I think of him like not – Deebo Samuel is polished. He's a good receiver, but can also be that running back type. So I want to immediately compare him more to a Curtis Samuel. Well, Curtis Samuel has been a pretty good receiver at different times, but mostly just kind of that gadget guy and somebody that gets a lot of work at the line of scrimmage, right? Those quick screen type things, long handoffs and stuff like that. And he's being scouted in that regard. The fact that Western Kentucky used him like that and just used him, try to get the ball in his hands quick and have his ability for the run after the catch and use that to help Western Kentucky win games. And that's what he's really good at. The run after the catch is exceptional for Corley. You just got to get the ball in his hands, got to get the right blocks to hit. But Corley really good with the ball in his hands. So in Shane Steichen's offense, when you bring all that together, I think there are a lot of different ways that Steichen would be able to use Corley in the offense, and that would just help everything, right? Then you have Josh Downs and Corley on the field together, and a lot of that being kind of the same role and what they can do and the different kinds of motions that you can have these guys in and can try to confuse the defense or put the defense in a tight spot where they have to pick one, right? Who are you going after? Or is Anthony Richardson just going to keep the ball himself? Or is he going to give it to Jonathan Taylor? So many options, and it could be so dangerous, right? Michael Pittman Jr. also going to be on the field. So for me, I think bringing Corley in, if you can get Corley in the third round, I think that'd be a good pick, right? No matter what you do in the first round, it could be Brian Thomas, it could be Quinyon Mitchell, it could be Terrion Arnold. It could be, Byron Murphy was projected to go to the Colts by somebody on USA Today, I believe, somebody's mock draft. So there are different options for the Colts, and they could go any way there in the first round, any number of ways in the first round. But I think if you're able to get Corley, if he's still there when the Colts are picking in the third round, I think going and getting Corley and adding him to that room and creating even more competition would be a really good thing, right? Because, I mean, you imagine if we did draft Brian Thomas Jr. in the first round, then drafted Corley in the third round, then you'd have Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Ashton Doolin, Brian Thomas Jr., and Malachi Corley. That's 6 guys. And the Colts, most weeks last year, ended up rolling into games with 6 receivers anyways. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. Is that something they'd be willing to do? If they did that, does that make somebody like Alec Pierce expendable? Would they try to trade Alec Pierce, during the draft, maybe to move up and get a guy? We'll see, what all happens. And of course, any updates, if anything does happen to happen in that regard, I'll let you guys know. Of course, we're going to continue talking about this stuff. If there are any prospects that you'd like to talk about that we haven't already covered, you let me know down in the comment section. Of course, don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you get notified when any of these videos do come out. And of course, I appreciate you joining me for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.